Hi friends, it is Quilting Mom here, and we're going to finish off our quilt today. Now all we need to do is put the binding on. So what you need for binding is just enough 2.5 wide strips to cover the quilt hold in. Okay, so to finish up the binding for this quilt, which is 56 times 68, and that makes 248 inches of binding that we need. Now, this is going to depend on how you fold your fabric. You can see that I've kind of folded mine this long way, and mine is about 37 inches. So that means I'm going to, and it's also folded over. So I'm going to need about 7 strips, 2.5 wide. So what I do is I take my ruler at 2.5 and just had a bunch of pins fly at me. Okay, and I put the pink part up against the fabric, and I'm going to cut 2.5 wide. No, you can't see it. Hold on. Okay, hold on. So I just got 4 out of it. 4 strips of 36. And I'm going to need like 7. So I got all my grocery shopping done. We're getting a big old, well, it was supposed to be a huge snowstorm all across the East Coast, but I think it's losing some of its oomph by the time it gets to Maine, which is fine by me. But I went and got freaking groceries at Walmart. And I mean, I could see other places in the South freaking out if you're getting like 48 inches of snow. But come on, people in Maine. And the only reason that I had to go today was because I had to wait. I got a wonky piece. Wonky. So it's like about, I'd say like a half a yard. But I've got way too much stuff going on my quilt room going on now. I've got, my table is totally filled up. Now you can do your binding at 2.5 wide. I do on a smaller, like something smaller, but not a full-size quilt. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just make a big old long, like snake type of thing, you know, and sewing these together because I want one very long big strip. Yeah, I'm trying to do this while I eat dinner. You know, when it's like a snowy day like this, honestly, my poor son, I just want it to be like a Jane Austen kind of movie day. So now I put my binding on, I sew it on the back, but then I finish it off when I fold it around. I do that with hand. Binding is one of those things you really can do, you know, a million different things. And unless you're entering them in a quilt, show, you know, there's no right way or there's no wrong way. So this is just the way I do it. And I know that I don't do it officially like I'm supposed to, but this is how I like to do it. All right. So off to sew these suckers. Okay, now that I've got it made into like a big old long snake of fabric, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half, wrong sides together, like this. Hold on. And I'm going to iron down the whole thing. Now, I usually, this is the only time I like to use a spray starch, but I can't find any right now. I know it's like somewhere in my disaster of a quilting area right now. It just keeps it better and stiffer. But all I'm going to do is iron it down. I'm going to make it all nice and pretty. Alright, so now that I've got this all folded in half and ironed, then I wrapped it around my hand just to make a little loop. So now you're going to put this on your quilt. Now I do it backwards just because the way that it's supposed to be done, I just can't ever like get it right. So you're supposed to put it on the front and take it to the back, but I always go to the back first and flip it over. If you want to do it right, you can do it that other way. So what you do is you start in the middle, and of course the raw edge goes up. So you start putting the binding up, you put it flush up to the top, and you start pinning. Okay, so when you come to a corner, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to the edge, two hands, and then you're going to kind of flip it up. You see what I mean there? So, that's what you're going to do. It's a little easier with two hands, but you see what I'm doing? Okay. Okay, now that I've sewn this all the way around, I have it like this. I do snip the corner of the borders. And now what I'm going to do, so now what I'm going to do is flip this over all the way around. You got to stuff your thumb in those corners to get them just right. So I'm going to fold this all the way down, folding it over like that. I am going to use these Clover mini clips that I have, but this is something I just purchased for myself. It's kind of recent. If you don't have them, just pin this over to hold it still while you're sewing. And do that all the way around. Okay, so how I'm sewing it down is just going right to the edge here and just making a nice clean line. Now usually I make sure that the thread matches exactly, but this is a creamy colored thread and it is mixing in nicely. So I'm going to do that all the way around the quilt. Okay, so this is the lap quilt finished. I know there's a little bit of sun in here, but I wanted somewhere that I could lay it out and you could see the whole thing. Obviously, since it's a lap size, it is smaller, but this is the finished project. Okay, so this is the final thing that you do for your quilt. Usually the final thing is I wash it and iron it just to get any loose threads or dog hair on it because Molly sits in my lap while I work on it. But what I usually do before I wash it, I forgot, it doesn't matter, is I sign my name to the quilt, and you can do that anywhere you want. Some people make pretty tags or whatever. I do sometimes, but I am just going to like take a corner, sign my name, and write the year that I made the quilt. You can use anything that doesn't bleed through for this, and I actually like just a good old-fashioned pen. So by some miracle, your quilt lasts a long time. They know when it was made.